Hello, my name's Andy Polaine. I lecture in service design at the Hochschule in Luzern in Switzerland. English, lived in Australia, lectured there for a while, and live in Germany. And I've done some lecturing there. And I want to suggest that education, particularly higher education, is deeply dysfunctional, and that my questions are really based around that. There's been a lot of work and a lot of thinking about school education, which is very, very valuable, and people like Ken Robinson have been really pushing some ideas about creativity at the school level, whilst at the same time I find that higher education is becoming more like schools, and not just more like schools today, but more like the worst sort of Victorian school from 200 years ago, or a bit less than that. And that as designers we get this, we have all these interesting conversations about interdisciplinarity and cross-disciplinary working. Service design crosses all these different areas. Within my institution, which is quite small, there's at least 4 schools that would lay claim and do work in service design. Trying to actually have a conversation with them together just falls over. There's a whole kind of lab about cross-disciplinary working. All sounds great, but then when it comes to trying to implement some of that, we somehow become paralysed, where we have conversation, but we've just got the structure of the masters sorted and it's just accredited now, but our students in management, they have a different set of credit points to the ones in design, and it's all deeply boring, but it's also very, very real. And my question is, how do we walk our talk? How do we move from talking about all of this into external projects and apply it to ourselves, and not become just totally sort of paralysed by all the kind of structural problems that seem to just get in the way of all of that. It seems to be that we can apply these things to some really interesting projects. We can look at cities, as Ezio just sort of pointed out, and yet within our institutions, it's like we just become sort of dumb robots and slaves to the institution. So that's the thing I'm interested in trying to work out. And largely it might be a question of how do you then sort of sell that up to where to the people who need to be influenced. And as I've got a little bit of sand left, tacked onto that rant is one about the sciences have done a very good job of sort of promoting the value of science and the importance of science in education, the importance of science in culture, but kind of slightly at the cost of anything else. So, as if science is the only way and scientific method is the only way of progression. And I think that's become very dominant in higher education, and we have to think of ways of not pushing that back, but kind of making the balance once more.